Okay, with my camera setup, I'm looking at this terrain thinking it looks a little lumpy. And really, I'm going to show you the camera setup in this scene, but the camera and the terrain modeling kind of have to go hand in hand, right? You need to be looking through your camera to see if the terrain looks right in your camera. So the one thing we're going to do is I want to look at my conceptual image in Photoshop and get the exact resolution that we want so that we can be looking through the same proportions that our final image is going to be, right? So we'll get that set up. So if you look in Photoshop at, well, here's our final image. Okay, so we'll say image size is 2400 width by 4000 tall. Okay, so that's our proportions. In Max, we need to set our resolution to that. So right here in render settings, we'll say 2400. Make sure it's unlocked by 4000. Okay, there's our scene. Now, in our conceptual sketch, we're more like here. And we're right up against that path, so like right here. And then looking up. Okay, now we need to make sure that our building is the right size according to our concept and that the path is in the right place. I think we probably want to go forward and be a little closer to that path and then zoom our camera out a little bit. And this doesn't have to be exact. Of course, it was just a concept. We want to be kind of looking up the hill at the building. So we're getting close already. Okay, and then we're just using these tools to look in the right place. And then with the camera, of course, we want the perspective to be exactly right. So we do that with the V-Ray camera here, tilt and shift, guess vertical tilt. Okay, that straightens it out. Make sure our horizon line's in the right place. Make sure we're not seeing. So you can see when we come down here that midground and background is not even visible. The one thing I don't like here is that my path appears to be a little bit too far to the right on the scene. So like if I come over here, this is a little better, and then change the camera to be looking a little more to the left. That moves my path so that it comes right here, like in the conceptual image. And I think my horizon is in the right place. We're using kind of a rule of thirds going on here, where the top 2/3 of the image is sky. Maybe if we'd go a little bit more. And then the bottom 2/3 is ground. Again, make sure that our vertical tilt is right. And everything looks good to me right there. That looks like everything is about in the right place. Maybe spin to see more of the building here. And we want the focal point to be on the right third of the image too, not right in the center, but kind of offset to the side. So I think we're pretty close. I'm not sure I like where the path is going, so that's where we need to be looking through the camera to get our model right too. So now, while looking through the camera, now I'm seeing some places where I want to adjust the terrain. And so we can just get in here and say, I think my camera's in the right place, so that's the important thing. Now I just need to make sure the terrain is looking right for exactly where I want that camera. And I'm basing the camera off how I want the building and where I want the building to appear. So we'll just go back to our paint formation and start. I think that I want to bring this all up. Yeah, and bring the path right through here. So let's do -6 inches and say brush size 6 feet and bring the path right through here like that. And from the top view, make sure that that's working. Yeah, and then go in and relax some of this stuff probably, or not. Now, one thing I'm not doing, but that you could do and would be awesome, is to go in and like sculpt a terrain in ZBrush, where the sculpting tools are going to be much more powerful than what we're using here. And you could even make a displacement map or do whatever you want. Maybe that would have to be a bonus lecture later because we're not going to go into ZBrush here, but that would be one option for you. is to just go in and use some more powerful sculpting tools to really sculpt this thing exactly how you want. But we're going to use some displacement materials and some other things to get kind of the effects that we want here. So we don't need to be too specific about how the terrain's going to look. We're just getting a general loose feel for the ups and downs of the terrain here. The last thing I want to do is bring this up so there's a little shoulder right there on the ground. Okay, so that's our terrain with our camera set up. The camera ends up at focal length of 30, and position wise it is right there. Okay, cool. So get the terrain exactly how you want it, set up your camera, and you're good to go.